I'm here with Eventbrite founders Kevin Hartz and Julia Hartz, and in between them is Roloff Bota, a partner at Sequoia, who invested in the company late last month. Hey guys.
Hi.
Hi, Mike. Hi, Mike.
So, sorry to corral you here at Sequoia's offices, but I was hoping to get the three of you together at once to talk about a little bit about the business, how it's doing. Obviously, it's doing very well, but also just why Sequoia chose to invest in this. So you see just about every deal. You invest in very few of them, so I'd love to talk a little bit about that. Why don't we start with you guys telling me the history of the company, sort of the story of it, what you do, when you founded it.
Well, we started in 2006. There are three founders, myself, Julia, my wife, and Renaud Visage. And we decided to take a bootstrapping approach to building the business, and we had been frustrated with just the fact that this kind of what we called the long tail of tickets was really not being serviced by anyone. People were still putting up flyers, and people were still collecting checks for all these different events, conferences, seminars, classes, and so on. We launched the business in 2006 and really grew it up organically. Roloff has been advising us informally and helping us out almost since day one, and it was the right time. Just when we closed this deal, we were breaking even. We're growing at super fast pace. We're on path to do about 100 million in ticket sales
this year
for 2009. Yes.
So you said you're roughly break even?
Yes.
So that's GMS. What's revenue?
I'm not going to disclose that.
Yeah, it's what is it, roughly a couple percent of the ticket price, 99 cents plus a couple percent generally?
There's kind of a funding mix that in there, but.
And we spent the first 2 years of inception, so from about 2006 to 2008, working heads down on our product. So we really wanted to create a product that was self-service and easy to use. So really in 2008, we started to see this tremendous growth, and that's when we started to look at other areas in which we could grow beyond sort of product and engineering. And at the end of 2008 is when we really started to think about other sort of verticals that we could go after and focus on. We're very horizontal right now, so we're sort of a one-size-fits-all platform.
So you sell tickets. You facilitate the sale of tickets, and you charge a very small fee. There are a couple of competitors out there, so it seems like interesting business, but it doesn't really seem like a Sequoia business to me at first glance. Is there something I'm missing, Roloff?
I hope so. Well, to be honest, and just one of the things that may be useful just for context is that Sequoia invested in the previous company that Kevin co-founded, Zoom, which is an online remittance service. It's actually the first investment that I brought to Sequoia after I joined here a long time ago. And that company is doing fabulously well, and Kevin had a great insight on how to disrupt a legacy industry with interesting technology. And he's doing it again, having co-founded Eventbrite this time around. And to be candid, when I first heard about Eventbrite and that they were building the company, and it was just the three founders, and it was very modest beginnings, as Kevin said, bootstrap, I was wondering whether it was a lifestyle business for the founders. It wasn't immediately apparent that it is such a large market opportunity, which is always the number one thing we try to focus on with our investments is what is the market size? Because there are a lot of other things in the business that you can improve. You can hire some better people, you can improve your product, you can improve customer service. I mean, those are the things that are under your control. You can't change the market size. And I sort of watched the evolution of Eventbrite, and we stayed in touch, and I get periodic updates from Kevin, and the business just kept doing better and better and better. And we have this notion of hearing a sucking sound from the market, and that's always a great indicator that you're delivering a great service and that there's a very large market opportunity. Because if you've got a push sale and the business isn't growing fast, the market is telling you something, either about the service or the market itself just isn't that attractive.
Yeah.
And so the underlying growth here was just so strong.
It's more than, it doubled from last year to this year in total revenue.
More than that. I mean, the company's just growing very quickly. But then as we started to dig into it, I mean, Kevin gave actually one of the presentations he gave was in this conference room, and he did a good job presenting the business. And the thing that that was a surprise to me, a wonderful surprise, is we're in the habit of listening to a company sort of give a lot of promises, and as you do due diligence, you typically find, here's an issue here, here's an issue here, and it's not quite as rosy as you thought it was going in. This was one where I felt, as we kept peeling the onion and kept sort of diving into the numbers, speaking to customers to get their first-hand references, the story just kept getting better.
You can't hide anything from Roloff, so we had to just give him full disclosure. So we know that right away.
Well, thankfully, our hard work paid off, though. I mean, I think what Roloff is saying is right, that we weren't coming in to sell some story that wasn't true, and he was patient and kind enough to let us keep checking in over the years. So we were so excited to come to you, with this story and sort of results of our hard work over the last few years.
The company was called Mollyguard when you launched? Is that right?
Yes, it was.
How did that happen?
It's a kind of catch-all phrase for we were building different payment applications, and it actually refers to the daughter of a computer science professor that created a switch called a Mollyguard, and we thought it was kind of a funny, unique name, and it was a placeholder name because we weren't sure what we were going to be building, so thus the name Mollyguard. And
you got rid of that pretty quickly. Went to Eventbrite.
Yes, we did. As quickly as possible.
So, Roloff, let's talk again a little bit more about what you look for in companies. So this is a company that's, even though it's very young, it's relatively mature, and that it's $100 million in GMS, in total ticket sales. What's revenue for the company? Top line revenue? Did we ask that question already?
I can't remember. What was the question?
I don't know why people are so. Do you feel like it's too much competitive information to give something like that out? Revenue. Yeah, that's money in the door that you keep.
Do you know that we've actually registered over 10 million people? We're closing in on that number, and very close in the history of the company to registering our 10 millionth person through the service.
10 million users.
Yeah, 10 million.
How many tickets have been purchased through the service?
Well, you can actually. Well, we also, what's interesting about our service that's helped us grow is that we offered a free registration service. So we make our money when our customers actually sell tickets, and we take a transaction.
Free tickets you don't charge for.
Free tickets, it was almost a hack. If you put in a $0 value, the ticket was free, and we said, well, let's just allow this. And all of a sudden you had so many people using our service. The Peace Corps uses us to register kids for their seminars to learn more about the Peace Corps, or corporations, companies use us for sales pitches and so on, and that actually helped get the word out about it. So in a sense, we're almost kind of an open source business, and that we have this free registration piece that actually drives a great deal of awareness to our business, and then we make money when we actually sell tickets.
So if you net out the free tickets, which I assume is the vast majority probably of tickets, how many tickets for actual revenue have been sold through the
You
service?
ask so many good questions.
Is that something you don't want to disclose?
Should I say our average ticket price?
Millions? Yes, you probably should.
What's that?
Why not give a little visibility? I mean, people are interested in this and what it takes to build a company that Roloff will invest in. So.
Good CEO.
Yeah, our average ticket price is about $60 per ticket. I tend to be very open, and so I love to talk about all these figures. They're great. So we'll sell $100 million worth of tickets at on average $60 a ticket, and it ranges everything from $10 school plays all the way up to TechCrunch conferences.
And your fees, I think these are your published fees, are 2.5% plus 99 cents, with a maximum of $9.95.
Well, that's if you're using PayPal or Google Checkout, and we also do our processing, a kind of what we call Eventbrite payment processing, with a different with a pricing base that includes processing.
Okay.
But I think really to emphasize why more than just kind of the details and the pricing and everything else is that ticketing's been around for a long time, and it's only been available to the kind of highest end players. So when you think of ticketing, you think of Ticketmaster, and you think of like the large sporting arenas, or you think of Justin Timberlake concerts and so on. And what we're really doing with Eventbrite is democratizing tickets. We're making that available to everyone, whether you're teaching a class on Photoshop and you have 10 attendees or students attending that, or you're holding the TechCrunch conference, or a school play or whatever else.
Before Eventbrite, and some of the competitors that came after, but there was no way to do this, right? No one could go to Ticketmaster and get them to sell tickets.
Right. It's the notion of enablement and empowerment. Yeah. What excites us is not that sort of small sliver that's Ticketmaster. That's a great sort of sexy analogy, but it's really the rest of the pie. I mean, there is a ton of empowerment to be had, and there's this greenfield opportunity of we're competing against Excel spreadsheets and paper invites, and that's extremely exciting.
Was there any service like Eventbrite before Eventbrite?
I mean, I think there's been small services here and there, but I don't believe that there was anything in the exact realm that we're playing in when we launched.
All right. So, Rolf, you have to be excited about the $100 million in GMS. I mean, no, that's not revenue. That's
we actually call it
GTS,
sales. Gross ticket sales.
Okay, in gross ticket sales. But that's like a big number. If you look at, what was Zappos when they sold? Were they at $1 billion-ish?
Billion gross in gross sales.
Yeah, obviously their revenue wasn't. That was gross sales, but they were.
It's a bit different when you look at a transaction-based business to look at the volume going through, because the percentage that you take is different, right? If you sell a $100 pair of shoes, your gross margin on that might be 35% or 40% or whatever the case is. So you're getting $30 in that transaction or $40.
Right. So that's actual revenue for Zappos. I actually forgot they were selling stuff directly. But
exactly. So it's more like an eBay analogy where they have merchandise volume going through the system, or PayPal. PayPal will generate $2 billion in revenue this year, but the total processing volume going through PayPal is something like $50 billion.
You think those PayPal guys sold out a little early, don't you think?
Just a good transaction for shareholders and for eBay at the time. There's been a wonderful integration afterwards. But I think a lot of what resonated with us is precisely the point that Julia is making, is that there's a very, very large greenfield opportunity here. Now, as we did the analysis, I think upwards of 3/4 of the customers that are using Eventbrite didn't switch from another solution. This is their first proper ticketing and event registration solution. They were literally using spreadsheets or email and sort of hacking it, and clearly that wasn't a good solution for them. And that's precisely what makes the service interesting. You have that kind of greenfield opportunity. You have a very loyal customer base. When you look at the data of how people keep returning to the service because you do well by them, the company is fanatical about tracking the Net Promoter Score and really making sure that they delight their customers. And it's evident when you do customer references and you speak to them firsthand. Many of the customers I just cold called and said, how did you first learn about Eventbrite? They learned about it because
they bought a ticket to something else.
Often they bought a ticket, or they heard about it from another event organizer. And it's wonderful for me when you come across a business where word of mouth is the predominant way that people discover the service. It means you're doing a great job at satisfying their needs, and your marketing expenses are low because your customers evangelize on your behalf.
What's your estimate of the total market size? Again, you're creating this market to some extent. You said 3/4 of customers you weren't grabbing them from somewhere else. They were using Excel or nothing before that. What's the total market size in gross ticket sales?
Well, we just look at the U.S. size and came up with a specific figure that is online that is $36 billion in gross. What's interesting is that we haven't even intended to do this, but 15% of our volume is actually overseas right now. So it's a substantial gross opportunity, gross ticket volume.
So you think that potentially the market is $36 billion just in the U.S. alone, but already 15% of your business is overseas. Do you buy that number, Roloff? Or is that just pie in the sky?
No, I think what we did, and this is one of the key issues we drilled into with the company, was market size, because it's a green.
I don't mean that to be insulting.
I encounter it all the time.
It's totally legit. No, keep in mind that's the ticket value, right? So the company's revenue opportunity isn't 30. That's not what the company's claiming. But we actually sort of looked at it segment by segment. How many people every year in this country attend business conferences, attend reunions, go to religious events, go to sporting events, go to live music performances, etc. When you tally up all those numbers, you have an enormous aggregate market. And there is
although Ticketmaster plays in a lot of that. We start going out sporting events and
exactly.
concerts.
So the larger of those are already served,
Yeah.
and the company's intention isn't to try to go and convince those large venues to switch over. There's a very, very large market opportunity below that for people who just haven't been served before.
What are Ticketmaster's revenues just from the ticket sales part of the business? How big is that?
I should know
market
that
in the U.S.?
offhand, but I believe it's at least $1 billion, and they do.
That's revenue, not top line. That's not
that's
GTS. Yeah.
And they have about a 15% average fee.
You're significantly lower than 15%
Yeah,
average.
the company charges less. But
But this is potentially something that they must be aware of it at this point, right? And looking at it.
We really haven't kept our really haven't looked up at Ticketmaster. We've got
They've never called you.
Great,
They've never said, "Hey, come on up or down, I guess, and meet with us."
No.
Really?
It's sort of, I mean, in our mind, we're doing what we do pretty well, and so if by virtue of doing what we do, we obtain some Ticketmaster customers, that's great. But that's not really our
Sure,
goal
it's
right
not
now.
so much about that, but it's more about just a whole new market of growth potential for Ticketmaster, right? I mean, to grab this would be
It's a
pretty
bit of a
easy
different
for them.
business model for them. I mean, as far as the big venues go. So their business model right now is shoring up these big venues and contracts and being the sole exclusive ticket provider for venue-driven events. So it doesn't quite keep us up at night that they're looking at what we're doing as being
but
something enticing.
you should be
to them.
keeping them up at night, right? I mean, they're battling to continue to control the big venues and to have a monopolistic sort of ownership over the tickets there. I don't use monopolistic in a bad way. They just have
No, of
contracts
course.
with those venues. But they're sort of have always ignored this sort of lower end of the market, which may not be as big of a market in total, but I mean, you're already showing it's $100 million in ticket sales now, and it's growing. Doubling every year.
Well, I think Ticketmaster is in the midst of a merger with Live Nation, so I think they've been very preoccupied on their home turf.
Yeah.
So that's
and Live
really
Nation
spending
merger
their
is partially about them controlling the venues, which is
But I think another analogy you may make to other technology companies. Think about what happened with Salesforce.com and sort of traditional CRM vendors.
Yeah.
It used to be that you build this enormous application to solve all the problems, and 9-month, 12-month implementation cycle, and it was a very heavy solution. And then out comes this company with a pretty simple solution to begin with, and I'm sure that a lot of people would dismiss it. Oh, it doesn't have this feature. Oh, it doesn't do this. And over time, because it was sold as a service, they kept iterating and got better and better and better. And I'd argue a lot of people today wouldn't complain about sort of lack of features in Salesforce, and in fact would rate it a lot better because of accessibility, ease of use, and so on. And I think Eventbrite is somewhat similar. Ticketmaster has a great solution if you're a big venue and you need all the sophistication of being able to sell tickets simultaneously in physical ticket locations and doing seat assignments simultaneously and a bunch of sort of additional bells and whistles that maybe a small customer doesn't need. But sort of democratization of technology often starts low and moves up.
Yeah.
I mean, those are the interesting things. PayPal initially enabled little individuals selling on eBay to accept payment transactions, but today you can go and buy things at Dell and Zappos and use PayPal as well. So over time they can migrate upwards. And so I think you may see something like that, but I don't know. That's not the bet that we're making. We believe there's a big enough opportunity. And the other thing from a very sort of interesting secular point of view is live performances continue to garner sort of increased ticket prices. Over the last 20 years, the price of a ticket to a live performance has probably gone up 10x, maybe 20x. The cost of watching the same event in a recorded fashion or over a broadcast, television network has decreased because people value that non-replicable nature of participating in a live event, and this company continues to benefit from that.
What's it like being a husband and wife founding team?
Are you talking to me and Rudolph?
Does it make it? Is it? No, I know you guys have a history, but I was referring to you and your wife.
Me and Julia, right.
So you guys.
Yeah. Do you want me to go first?
Well, no. I mean, it's
Oh, that's how
dividing.
it
It's
is.
dividing
That's how
conquer.
it is.
It's dividing
your
conquer.
answer.
I
think we have what we need there.
it doesn't work for everyone. Like my parents would never be able to work together. But we've had a lot of great mentors. Sochi and Michael Birch, for example, have been very helpful in how we divide tasks and how we work together, and it's been really harmonious, and I've loved it.
They said on day one, divide and conquer, and that's rung true throughout the last 3 years. So I think that it's not for everybody, but we sort of don't know any different. And
would your coworkers say it's a little more stressful because you carry maybe domestic arguments or stress into their?
No, we're a bit. I hate to sound sort of Pollyannish, but we're a bit above that fray. We don't we don't argue that often. And I think when it comes down to it, I really respect Kevin as our leader, and so there's not that. We're not vying for power in any way. I know who's boss at home. So
and who's boss? I think
yeah.
So is the only reason is Michael Birch is an angel investor, founder, Vivo co-founder?
Yes, Michael and Sochi are.
Is the only reason you accepted them is because they have a full-size English pub in their home?
Yes.
and actually, and also their expertise in social media. So I think one of the big trends. One of the big trends of
six
what's
of one,
happening.
half dozen of the other. They have a full-size English pub in their home. I mean,
that helps.
Yeah.
You don't have one?
Do you? You probably do.
I've lost Kevin to many strategy meetings at that pub before. I had to bring him up.
So last two questions, then we'll go and roll off. These are both for you. So roll off. No one can pronounce your name, including me. Will you please pronounce your name correctly?
Roloff Bueta.
Yeah. And what is your, as you said earlier, your Starbucks name?
Fred.
So people can just call you Fred if they can't.
No, please.
Yeah. I cannot actually pronounce your name, so I won't even try and video. Also, can you show us your shoes, please? I wanted to get a quick, and explain why they're special.
And these are called MBTs. That stands for Maasai Barefoot Training. You can buy these on Zappos. I was actually introduced to these by my podiatrist because I picked up.
And they're actually I've seen these before, but they're rounded on the bottom. So.
Yeah, if you can see it like this. It's got a shape to it like this.
Yeah.
So the commentary that I received is, we evolved to walk barefoot on uneven surfaces, and today we all walk with flat shoes on flat, hard surfaces, and that's why we end up with so many ankle, knee, hip, and back problems. And so this company, I think, is a private company based in Switzerland. I've tried to buy their shares, and I haven't been able to figure out how yet. But the founders went to Kenya, and they noticed that the Maasai don't suffer from the same chronic sort of ailments that we have in Western society. And part of their insight was the fact that they walk barefoot. And so they came up with a shoe design that mimics the way that you walk barefoot, because you can't just stand sort of and rest with your feet flat and have bad posture. The curvature means that you're constantly rebalancing, and that rebalancing is just very, very good for your whole body. I promise you put these on, it feels like you're having a foot massage.
What do those cost at Zappos?
It varies. I think they have a couple of designs that are like work shoes that are maybe $250, and then they have sandals, more casual looking shoes that are probably $120 or so.
Do they come in heels?
You must have like a secret Sequoia code that gives people
especially
a coupon discount?
Now that Amazon owns them?
Must be something, like even a 10%, 20% discount, nothing like that?
Sorry.
Any other of your startups that you want to
give a shout out
highlight before we shut down?
The only other recent one that people know about is Unity Technologies.
Just wrote about that. That's the Danish, previously based in Copenhagen, now based here.
Well, they still have the office there, and they have a couple of other development offices where they found exceptional talent. But the CEO has moved their headquarters here to the Bay Area, and they have a fabulous tool for developing very interactive, rich content for the browser and also for mobile devices and consoles. I think one of the most exciting games coming out later this year is the new version of Tiger Woods. EA has decided they won't ship shiny little discs anymore. Instead, Tiger Woods will be delivered as a full interactive browser-based game. And the only way that they found that they could deliver a full 3D game in the browser was using Unity's technology. So I'm still waiting to get into the beta program there. So hopefully I can waste some more time playing a golf game.
And if our readers want to be like Kevin and Julia and get some of your money, how do they go about contacting you? Your email, cell phone? What's your Google Voice number?
No.
Nothing?
The best way to reach me is my email address, which is on our website actually, and it's just my last name, Bueta, @sequoiacap.com.
It's on your email?
I have his phone number if you want.
Yeah, it's 555.
Thanks very much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Underwear.
Do you have questions for us, or are you just scribbling random notes?
I feel like we're at the doctor.
You're asking if I came prepared?
Yes.
Of course. Yeah, I have pronounced in a notebook.
I'm more getting nervous because he's like
So
writing
what does
on a
Eventbrite
chart.
do again? It's
Well, what kind of cologne do you wear?